Welcome to the Heart, Mind, Body Collective podcast, where heart, mind, and body meet in practice. This podcast has been created for those who are passionate about personal and professional growth, emotional well-being, connection, relationships, and self-mastery. Through conversations with practitioners, hypnotherapists, healers, educators, coaches, and thought leaders, we dive deeper into understanding the human experience. Your host is Rebekah Fisher, doula, hypnotherapist, and relationship coach.
Hi, Lawrence. Welcome to the Heart, Mind,
Hello.
Body Collective. Thank you
Thank,
so much for coming on today. I've
thank you
been
for
really
inviting me.
looking, been really looking forward to this. Um, I guess I'm asking everybody, how did you get into what you're doing now? And
Okay.
look a little bit about what you do.
Okay. So if we were to look at the timeline of my career,
Mm-hmm.
there's been various different phases of this Lawrence person.
Mm.
So the first 10 or so years of my career was actually in the music industry. And
Oh,
so I was
wow.
working in a few different various music industry companies. Probably the most famous of those was that I was the last person to be employed by Mushroom Records while it was still Mushroom Records. And then went on
Wow.
to work at Festival Mushroom Records and
Mm.
spent a period of time there working with some really great Australian artists. Australian artists were
Mm.
the key people I was working with during that time. After I left that, or after it left me, whichever way we might want to look at that, I
Yes.
ended up falling into the recruitment industry. And
Ah.
you might think, how is that? That's a bit of a pivot. But when you look at the music industry is about being about
Mm.
managing artists and managing
Yes.
expectations, and I end up in the creative recruitment industry.
Mm.
And so I was doing that for a fair period of time, and I would frequently describe recruitment as being one half coaching and counseling and one half
Yes.
sales. I've had people
Yes.
in front of me, and depending on how empowered or disempowered they were, would depend upon
Mm.
what kind of conversation I had and what I'd need to do. I've had people who were in front of me literally in tears because they'd been bullied in their jobs, or they had so much
Mm.
of their identity attached to their job, which happens in the creative
Yes.
industry. It's not just a job in the
Yes.
creative industry, it's part of their identity. And I've also had
Exactly.
people that were perhaps a little too confident or rambunctious. And sometimes it was about how do you coach them to better fit into environments. And
Mm.
I wasn't as a fan as much of that sales side, but I love
Yes.
the coaching and counseling. And so that led me
Mm.
down the path of, getting trained up in hypnotherapy, getting trained up in counseling. And I've been
Mm.
doing that for the past 11 years now. I
Oh,
work across a few
wow.
different spaces,
Yes.
but it's 11 years that I've had Release Hypnosis now in Melbourne. Um,
Yes.
Continue to find that every year is a learning adventure, and that I'm comfortable and confident in continuing to remind myself that I only know what I know and to keep myself open to learning a lot more.
Oh, that's wonderful. I really like that. I feel the same way. I feel like I'm always open to learning more, diving deeper into something, learning
Yeah.
something new, expanding my toolkit or just, yeah, working
I
on
think
myself a little more.
you know what, it's, I think back to when I was studying my diploma of hypnotherapy, and we had these fantastic lecturers who would get up at the front of
Mm,
the room and do these demonstrations and make it look so easy.
yes.
And I remind people that when you were learning, whether it was parts therapy or regression or any of the various different
Mm,
techniques you might have, you would watch these people and you would learn how to do it, but you would not learn exactly all the ins and outs of it, because everyone that you're going to
yes.
meet in your career is going to be different. No one's ever textbook,
No.
but they gave you kind of that framework, and then it was up to you to continue to explore those frameworks and to
Mm.
um, color in the areas that you
Mm.
may not have had colored in for you. Anything that's black and white, you
Yes.
need to be able to see where they are and decide what color it's going to be from there. And that's kind of how I view my learning is that
Mm.
what I learned back then, I might have felt was complete, but 11 years on, I can reflect back and think, oh, there's still a lot more to learn there. And I think that
Mm.
willingness to think that I may not know anything helps me to
Mm.
learn a lot more as a result, paradoxically.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it keeps you open.
Yeah.
I feel it keeps you open, and I feel in the line of work that we do, it's important to be open.
Yeah.
And I certainly I feel like my clients have taught me so much,
Mm. They do, don't they?
and
Absolutely.
it's like, oh, okay, and they bring a different perspective, and yes, it's a situation, something I haven't dealt with before, and there's a you're always learning, and I
Yeah.
feel it's important to remain open, and I feel like it's important to really be present and listen to your clients and see what they really need. Well, how do they want to feel? What is it
Yeah.
where are they stuck? And meet them in that space.
I,
So,
if you go into the world of internal family systems in IFS, they'll frequently talk about the various C's that they have. And
oh, I
I
love
think of
this.
things
Oh,
like
I've got goosies.
creativity and confidence and
Mm.
calm. And I think to be a really great hypnotherapist, I didn't know when I was learning how creative being a hypnotherapist is.
It
How
is, isn't
in that
it?
moment you need to
Yes.
be curious, another C,
Yes.
to be able to just kind of explore what's happening for the other person, and then to
Mm.
have the confidence, another C,
Mm.
to try something and maybe get it right or maybe not, but know that you're
Yeah.
exploring, and to be creative, to be able to really just it's not a script that you're reading.
No.
It's,
No, it's
there might be
not.
a framework, there might be a technique, there might be a
Mm.
process, but how do you creatively adapt that to the person that's in front of you and what they're offered to
Well said.
influence that change, to seed a different direction
Yes.
of thinking, to
Yes.
shift and inform their reality so that it could become a different experience for them.
Oh,
I
I
need tea
love
after that.
that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that.
Mm.
That's so well said.
Mm.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
So
It is
how
a
do you manifest all
creative
those seeds
process.
and bring them up so that you're
Yes,
that person for them? You can be
totally.
that self for them.
Yes, that's so powerful.
Mm.
I really love that. Yeah. And so so you would blend a bit of your counseling, is that right, with your
Absolutely.
hypno? Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
combination for
You
people.
you want to know something shocking? I'm surprised I'm
Go
sharing this.
ahead.
This is almost sinful to admit. I signed up to do a diploma of counseling on the day my father passed away. It was it
Oh,
was the
sorry to
stimulus for me to
mm.
but this is the shocking bit. I started that in 2010. I didn't finish my diploma of counseling until 2023. Um,
Uh-huh.
but in that time, I'd gone and done a diploma of hypnotherapy. I'd studied acceptance and
Yes.
commitment therapy. So it felt more like by the time I got to the end of my diploma, I was completing it because I didn't want to be one of those people that left things incomplete. Um, I'd become that person. I was determined to break that. I wanted to be the person
That
that completed
cycle.
things. So I now have
Yes.
that piece of paper that says I completed that,
Yes.
despite the fact that by the time I got around to I went in to do my final assessments for the
Yes.
diploma, and I was nervous, thinking I don't know what to expect. And there
Mm.
was a series of role plays throughout the day, and
Yes, yes.
I finished my first role play, and my assessor, without even looking up, went, "Right, well, clearly you don't need to be here."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, maybe I'm not bad at this. Maybe it's okay.
Well, I was one of those. I started a counseling diploma twice and then got really busy with clients and had done all these coaching certifications and hypnotherapy, extra trainings and yada, yada,
Yeah.
yada. So I never finished mine.
But isn't it funny how we
But I'm
get in the
glad I
way?
did. I did.
Yeah.
But I was so busy, and a part of me was like, well, I'm sitting here, I'm in this space, and
Yeah. And you kind of at that point
so
have to
I
either
had to make a
decide,
decision.
yeah, do I sit with acceptance and surrender that this is not going to be finished? Or
Yes.
do I focus and decide how I'm going to finish this? And so I reached that I'm going to,
Yes.
and you know what's funny, is that I had jokingly said at one point there, I better finish this before my mother passes. Um, and this is sad. She passed away a month after I finished it. So my
Oh,
diploma of
shame.
counseling is bookended by my
Ended by your
parents
parents
passing.
passing.
Um, this is a very dark, sorry viewers, this is very dark. But you
No,
can
this
see
is
I'm okay.
life. This
I
is life.
processed it. It's all good. It's all good.
Yes, yes, this is life, I feel.
Hmm.
I just got incredibly busy with life, and I was doing a lot of births at the time as a doula. So I was
Yeah.
intensely involved in supporting couples through birth and my, raising four kids and
You
so
can
much going on in my life.
The funny
So
thing is that
yeah,
you
I
can
didn't
reflect back
finish.
on this conversation and say that it's a conversation about life and death because it has been.
It is. It has been totally, exactly. And we get to really dive into those spaces with people.
Mm.
And I had a quick look before we jumped on. You do pet, there was pet grief.
Yeah,
May as well dive there because, yeah, I
yeah,
just thought, what a beautiful human you are,
yeah.
helping
Look,
people process that, you
I,
know?
I, I have I have really tried to focus what I would like to focus on based on the
Yeah.
things that are important to me.
Yes.
I lost my beautiful little boy Casper back in 2016. And I
Mm.
would say that losing him had as much of a profound impact on me as losing my father. It was
Yes.
just, it really, for both my partner and I,
Mm.
it really devastated us. And there were
Mm.
a lot of life lessons to come out of that. I now have a life
Mm.
lesson nowadays that we want comfort over cure. Um, and
Wow.
that
Yes, that's
came
so
from
true.
that experience of and I
Yes.
lost my second third child Sambuca
Mm.
uh in
Oh,
in 2020,
yes.
and when we lost him, because we had this value of comfort over cure, I
Mm.
felt like we got that right because
Yes.
the vets wanted to shove him full of medication, and I was like, what's this actually going to do? Because
Yes.
I know that it's also going to create a lot of stress for both him and I. And in the end, we
Yes.
stripped it down to anti-nausea wafers. And for a kid that was supposed to last maybe a couple of months, he lasted a year and a half longer. And
Wow.
we were able to let him pass in the most um, beautiful way. Like, I mean, I think anyone's
Mm.
had to lose anyone just hopes that people pass in a really
Yes.
beautiful way, for want of a better word, but regardless if
Yeah.
it's a human being or a fur child.
Or your fur
Um,
baby. Mm.
and so after losing two fur kids, I felt like it was really important to help. And I see it online. I see people frequently
Yes.
lose fur kids and being surprised by the
The grief.
magnitude of the grief
Mm-hmm.
that they experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is something that I can work in. I haven't done it in a long time. To be honest with you, nowadays, one of the key things that I'm work with is
Mm.
really around, particularly around addictions, compulsive behaviors, and substance use
Oh,
issues.
wow. Okay.
Particularly with
Tell me
men,
more.
particularly around with men and adult
Yes. Okay.
entertainment.
Yep.
So that is something that really began to happen more post pandemic, to the point
Yes.
where probably at any given time, about 40% of my clientele will be men dealing with adult
Mm.
entertainment addiction. So
Yeah,
that has
yeah.
been something I never thought I would end up
Mm,
working in and
mm,
specializing in. But
mm,
it's something that continues to keep presenting
mm,
itself. And
mm.
I begin to recognize what a valuable service it is to be able to help guys in
Yes.
that situation.
Yes, I think that's really powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
I work a lot with, I would say 70% of my business is women, but about 30% of that is men. And, that issue has come up in terms of relationships and how it can
Yeah.
impact their relationships.
Oh, yeah. I call that the reality
You know,
slap.
yeah,
Um,
yes,
when their partner or wife has found out, and they've
yes,
learned very directly what
mm,
their partner feels about that and why they feel about that, and it begins to
yes,
shift the way they view that material as well. I
yes.
nickname that the reality slap. Um,
That's a great way of expressing it.
yeah,
Yeah, because so many times there's such a feeling of betrayal as well with women.
I remind them that the reality slap
Yeah,
might sting, but it's
very much
actually
so.
really beneficial for you because
Mm,
it's slapped how you change your reality around that particular issue, how you
mm,
view it and frame it. And so there's a benefit to have gone
mm,
through
mm,
that experience, as painful as it is. And then it's
mm,
really more
mm.
about how do they rebuild their ability to communicate properly with their partner as well.
Yes, which is just so, that's such a beautiful space. It just can
Yeah.
be a challenging space,
Yeah,
but it's a
absolutely.
beautiful one, because then you're encouraging intimacy and true connection and authentic
Yeah.
connection, you
Particularly with
know.
compulsive behaviors, I think no matter what
Mm.
you do, there's generally always a part of them that has a fear about what if this comes back. And
Yes,
so it's
yes.
quite frequently it's about working with that part of them as well.
Okay,
To
okay.
explore, well, okay, I can understand why, because it's been a part of you in the past and that part of you has served you
Yes.
well, that you might be concerned about what if it comes back, and working with them around, um, well, acceptance and surrender to that as
Mm,
well.
mm, mm. That's really powerful,
Yeah,
actually. That's amazing work. Yeah. Do you see the couples together or you just work
I avoid
independently
it.
with yeah.
I had a terrible I had a terrible couples counseling session once, and I can remember after that saying no more.
Yeah, it can be intense.
I admire people that can do couples counseling. It's really
Mm-hmm.
intense, and it can be a challenge. So I've been asked,
Mm.
even in recent times, I've been asked, and I've just said no. It's not me. I'm happy to refer to
Yeah, refer that
people.
on.
I think it's important for us to be able to know where our strengths and where our weaknesses are, and
Yes,
to
so
not be
true.
afraid to say no to a client,
Yes,
or
yes.
to
That
say to a
becomes
client,
really important.
it does. Well, we've got to think about the client first and foremost, and make
Exactly.
sure that they are getting the right support
Yeah,
that they
totally.
need. And if,
Yeah.
the best way we can do that is if we're not that right support, to
Yes.
perhaps know who within our community is suitable so that we
Yes,
can
I
comfortably
agree.
refer on to them.
Yeah, I agree. I
Mm,
remember a couple of years ago, there was a lady that came to me for like alcohol addiction, but it was booked through her best friend, and it was
mm,
almost like the family they were like, well, you can't be around your grandchildren unless you get this sorted out. It was all, and then I spoke to the husband, etc. And I was kind of very hesitant about it because it wasn't coming from her. And I said, look, I need to speak to, her first before I would even entertain this
mm.
and had conversations around willingness. So I went there, I was very open, but it soon became apparent she just wasn't willing. And I
Yeah.
said,
And
I can't help you if you're not willing. It's not like we can just, magically, encourage them to be willing if
I
she's
agree.
really
And
not willing. Does that
th
make sense?
there
And
are
then I was
certain
like, That's not for me to do. You have to be
Mm,
willing to for the change, and it doesn't feel like you are. So
yep.
I referred her on to other places that could actually, I felt actually could help her
Yeah.
with that
It
because
sounds
she
like
wasn't ready.
in that cycle of change, it sounds like she
Mm.
might, be at that pre-contemplation or contemplation stage.
Yes,
But it sounds like
totally.
maybe someone who is perhaps skilled in something like motivational interviewing to try to really draw out for her
Yeah,
what needs to happen. I think also there are certain substance use issues where I tread with caution, and
a hundred
alcoholism
percent.
is one of them because they can't just
Yeah.
go cold turkey. That can actually be
No,
life-threatening. So it's about,
totally.
okay, well, and particularly if I work with someone, I can assess that there is a heavy use going on still. I
Mm.
will say that I will work with them provided I am one of a team. So, what other resources are
Yes.
available to assist that person? Because I'm not available 24/7.
No, we're
Um,
not.
but this problem will occur 24/7. And so we need to make sure that
Yes.
person has the resources there to be able to tap into that if they need it.
Yeah.
And for the family, I
Mm.
know that they want certainty that whatever
Yes.
they're going to spend their money on to help this person is going to work. We can't
Yes.
guarantee that. There is a
We can't
percentage of people
guarantee
that are
that.
not going to change. We know that. No
Yes.
therapeutic approach has a 100% success rate. We know that. And of course, we
Yes.
don't want to say that because we don't want to create a negative expectancy. But at the
No,
same
but
time, we need to be realistic. I know that
totally.
there's a group called Shark, SHARC, and they
Okay.
have a online program called Breaking Through, which is a free weekly webinar for family and loved ones of people that are suffering from addiction. And they go through various different topics about what is addiction, how they can support people with addiction.
What a
Um,
great
or,
resource.
so I will generally speak to them and say, look, I really recommend that you go and check that
Mm,
out
mm,
because
mm,
it will help you to know how to help your loved one best.
totally.
Literally only last week, I sent someone across to Shark just to say, look, go and sign up for this. You and your husband are going to really understand what's happening with your son a lot more, and
Yes,
going to be able
yes.
to better support him. And meanwhile, because in this particular
Mm,
instance, it was someone who I would say is heavy substance use.
yeah,
Happy to see him, but it's going to be about how do we build a team
yeah,
around him because there needs to be that level of support for people like this.
yeah.
And that's not ruling out that it may not be enough support. This person may have to consider
Mm,
going in clinic and going through that. So there's
mm.
always kind of knowing that area of what is your limitations, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
totally. That's where I was
making
like it
yeah,
I needed a little bit more willingness and I was like I don't feel I can help you,
yeah.
which I've never sent anyone away before in my life.
But as long
But
as
it
we
was
have our own list of
sending that on.
resaurces that we
Oh,
can
totally.
share
And
to
I
them,
referred on,
yeah,
it felt which felt to me, that was the best way to support her was knowing that this wasn't working because
yeah.
there was no willingness.
Well,
And yeah, so that's where that was really, it was quite empowering for me just to go,
yeah.
look, I want to help you. Come back when you're ready,
Yeah. The best
but
place
right
for us
now
is when
is you're
they
not
are in
ready.
recovery and we can help
Yes,
build
that's
motivation
it.
and momentum
Totally,
with recovery.
exactly.
We
Yeah,
can see them
which,
beforehand, but it's going to be about,
yeah,
okay, well, let's talk about
it's
what
too
strategies you might
much.
use to
I
be able
agree.
to sit with the urge and not act on it.
That's
Um,
correct.
yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's
where it's
right.
urge surfing that instance, which is quite mindful. And again,
Yeah.
I just always remind people as part of due diligence. Not every technique is going to work for every person. But I
Yes.
add
Well said, Lawrence.
what I do
Yes, well
like is
said.
when I talk about a technique with someone and they go away and they get creative and they come back and they've
Yes.
adapted it in a way that works for them.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel a sense of just pride for them when they can take these
Mm.
tools, take it into the real world, be curious and be
Mm,
creative and
mm,
begin to consider how else can I use this to help me get to where I need to get to. Those
yes.
people, I applaud them. They are
Yes.
taking their recovery into their own hands, and they're doing it in a way that is profoundly inspiring. As
Yes.
opposed to those that just want to come and blame you because they are not better, even though they haven't
That's
done
it.
anything other than turn up towards their recovery.
Totally. Yeah, totally, totally, totally. And then you hear that, well, I can't be hypnotized, I can't be
Sure, because that's
hypnotized.
not
It's like,
what the drug
sure, it's
or
not
the adult
actually.
entertainment or any of the other things that you are doing has done to you, is it?
No,
Not at all.
not at all. I
Yeah.
know, exactly. They put you in an altered state. That's correct. Yeah, no, I've worked a lot with people that are in recovery. And I find that that supportive hypnotherapy and coaching
Is
actually is
where it
really
really is needed.
beneficial and and
Yeah.
and they do. Sometimes they want to work with their wounded or they feel abandoned, So we
Yeah.
go back and anchor down and work with the inner child a bit more.
Yeah.
Other times it is the impulse or, like, but it's wonderful because they've already reached that point of I don't want to drink anymore, or I don't want to
Yeah.
drug, or I don't want to, yeah, watch those adult
I,
videos
I tend to be
anymore.
very parts driven when I'm working with people in that space. And
Yes,
so for me, it's
I
always important to
agree.
remind them about how that part is actually trying to serve them in a
Yes.
positive, beneficial way, and
Yes.
encourage them to be able to communicate with that part when they feel it being present. So I'm,
Yes.
I'm really trying to
Yes.
build that kind of sense of self that can talk to that
Yes.
part and kind of
Yes.
say, hey, I feel you. I know you're trying to help,
Yes.
but we've got this. Um,
Yes.
I feel that's frequently a good way, and I've had so many people say to me, I have never thought of that part of me in that
Yes.
way before. And so it can
Oh, but
be,
that's
again, it's about reframing the
beautiful.
relationship.
Yes, and then that
Mm.
helps the integration and it
Yep.
helps you to actually make peace. It
Yeah,
helps with acceptance, which is so important, I
absolutely.
really feel acceptance is important.
Yeah,
And
I
then once
agree.
you accept something, then you can have compassion for yourself or,
Yes.
and take some accountability. Well, that accountability is not true accountability, is not going to happen without acceptance,
Yeah.
I
I
feel.
feel compassion is the key one there.
Yes.
How do we get them to build that self-compassion, to recognize that
Mm,
they have made mistakes before, but it doesn't have to define who they are
who they
now or where
are.
they're going. To have
Yes.
compassion towards that part of them that, was creating that
Yes.
behavior in the past, and how to have compassion for
Yes.
themselves on the really hard days as well, where there's a part of them
Yes.
that feels like it wants to use and um,
Yes.
wants to engage in that behavior. I feel that self-compassion is a vital component to
Yes.
any addiction work.
Yes. Oh, for many, many things. I
Mm,
know even through labor. I mean, but what birth, you start off doing hypnotherapy, it's going to help all these women have these empowered natural births.
mhm.
And then you find how anxious they are, their perfectionist gets in the way,
Yep.
and that like you really are up against yourself. And so I found myself working with very sensitive, anxious women. I was like, oh, I relate to that.
Mm,
I see you, and then we get into labor because I'm a doula as well. So that's how
mhm.
my journey began. And I've got these women at time, I'm so sorry, Beck. I can't do this, and they've been laboring for 2 days because the baby's posterior and not anterior, and we've got to shift gear, and they're like, I don't I can't do this, and they're apologizing to me, and I'm going, this is your birth, sweetheart. You don't need
Yeah.
to apologize to me. It's okay,
Yeah.
because then in going, so when you're working with second or third women that I haven't worked with before, they're punishing themselves almost because they
Mm,
didn't achieve that ideal birth, and so yeah, so I've spent so many hours with women. It's
mm,
like it's okay, it's so okay. So let's have some compassion for yourself. Look at what was
Yeah.
going on at the time. Let's look at where you're at. Oh, hey, you were breathing. Hang on a
Mm.
minute. Your baby decided to be in a really funky position. Like you didn't have control over that.
I know the
You
feeling.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find that work around acceptance and compassion really powerful.
Yeah.
And that to me, I feel is what empowers people the
Yeah.
most.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and even, I guess, it's kind of ironic we're talking about all this because this isn't what I'm going to be talking about at the
I
conference.
know we'll get to
But
that in a minute, but what a great conversation. I'm so enjoying it.
it's good to kind of make sure people realize I am a proper hypnotherapist. So I do
Yes,
this
that
stuff.
this is correct. And these are
Yeah.
some of the things that we do.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it's important. Yeah, no, I didn't want this just to be about what we're presenting at the
Oh no, it's
conference for
very like I mean,
me
people are going to have to put up with
personally.
that at the conference. So
I really want, I don't know, I just want the work to go out there and, and you feel
Mm.
like a very trauma-informed person,
I probably need to learn a little bit more about it, but I that could be
mm,
my own limiting beliefs coming up because clearly a
mm,
lot of what
mm,
we do, whether we're aware of it or not, are
mm,
techniques that are working with that. And I think there's an intuitive part of
mm,
us that, for me, if I feel that there's something that is a trauma issue, I will
mm.
um, I will ask that person in a very tactile way about, does this issue involve trauma at all? And are you
Yes,
comfortable to
yes,
talk about it? Because we don't have to if you don't want to.
yes, exactly.
I'm always mindful around that because the
Mm,
last thing I want is to have someone be re-traumatized by their
yes,
experience with me. Ultimately, at the end of the
yes,
day, everything we've talked about so far has really been about knowing our limitations and making
yes.
sure that the person leaves us in a better state than when they came in.
Yes, that's the goal.
Mm.
That's the goal. Well, so what are you going to speak about at the conference?
Well, you know what? This is the first time I've spoken in person at a conference since 2020. So the
Wow,
last
okay.
conference I did was literally a week before lockdown. Um,
Okay.
So, I was up in the Gold Coast 1 week beforehand and came back to Melbourne where our supermarkets were void of toilet paper and anything else. And I was thinking,
Yeah.
what the hell happened? And so
Yes.
I am going to be talking about how hypnotherapists can create hypnotic audio recordings. So it's a
Mm,
topic that I've spoken about largely over the course of many, many years. And I
mm.
stopped, I should add, I've been doing presentations monthly since then,
Right, okay.
online, but not in person. And I haven't been focusing as much on this topic for a few reasons, which I will share with
Mm,
you now.
mm.
The first being that I felt that AI was beginning to take over. And so there was a part of me
Yes.
that thought, well, this is a dying skill. Who's going to
Mm,
need to
mm.
worry about this? But what I've found subsequently is that while AI is still beginning to creep up, it's not creeping up in this space as fast as what
No.
we may have initially thought. I know a lot of people keep talking about how it can happen now, but when we hear what they're doing it, it's still not where it needs to be. I have no
Mm,
doubt it will get there, but it's still not where it needs to be. And the other thing
mm,
is about the fact that it feels potentially a little bit more complex than what people had initially
mm,
thought. It feels like there's a
mm,
lot to learn around it. And so I've
mm,
realized that perhaps what I need to do is come back to who I created my original training for, which were
mm.
people that were technophobic, people who were actually, and to be honest, I found that was a lot of hypnotherapists.
That's a lot of us, I feel.
I
Yes.
know there's an irony that we're there about helping people take away their limiting beliefs. Yet as soon as I mentioned hypnosis audio recordings or anything, you'd see the blood drain from their face. Oh no, I can't do that. It's too technical. And it really isn't. It really isn't. And
Mm,
so my goal whenever I do these presentations is how do I take the most technophobic person in the room and have
Mm.
them feeling by the end of it, not only that they can do it, but that they want to do it, that
Yes,
they
yes.
actually know enough to be able to give this a try.
Mm,
Because
mm,
I know so many people that will give me so many excuses as to why they don't want to do it. Oh, I
mm,
don't have the
mm,
right microphone. Oh, I don't know which
mm,
button to press. What if I press a
mm,
button and everything explodes? My
mm.
mum once told me she didn't want to go on the internet because she was afraid she would break it. And I told my mum, Mum, I'm more concerned about the internet breaking you than you breaking the internet, okay? But it's a similar kind of belief systems
Yes,
that I'm
no, it
hearing
is.
now.
Yes, yes.
And so, what I want to be able to do with this presentation is to firstly excite people about what they could do with this.
Mm,
So,
mm,
for instance, we're talking before about compassion. I have done a lot
mm.
of self-compassion audio recordings that I can hand to my clients that they can go and practice between
Yes,
sessions.
yes,
I'm there with them in between
yes,
sessions.
yes,
They're
yes,
practicing along with
yes,
me, and so that's a real value add. When
yes.
I have people sign up for a session with me, as part of the confirmation email, they get
Mm,
a link to a hypnosis audio recording where I'm helping
mm,
them to
mm.
build and anchor hypnotic phenomena, so that
Yes.
when they come in, it's really useful for me. I can ask them
Mm,
firstly, did you get a chance to listen to that hypnosis audio recording? Now,
mm,
one of a
mm,
few responses are going to happen. All of them are valuable.
mm,
The first
mm.
is they're going to say, yes, I did. It was fantastic. Great. I know what hypnotic process I need to do with them. I know they're going to be a good hypnotic subject. Um,
Yeah.
yes, but I'm not quite sure that it worked. Okay, this means I need to go back to my pre-talk. I need to
Yes,
talk a bit
yes,
more and
yes,
explain to them, explore what is it about it that wasn't working? Were they getting in their own head? Were
yes,
they afraid of what was going to
yes.
happen?
That's right.
Etc., etc. So I go back to the pre-talk.
See where they're at.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thirdly, I listened to it. Nothing happened at all. Great. That means that I don't go anywhere near the technique in that recording. I begin to
Yes,
explore perhaps more conversational hypnosis, or maybe something
yes,
like the Swan, or something like that.
yes.
Or they come in and say, I didn't listen to it at all. Now, this could be a
Mm.
sign of someone again who's fearful. So it's back to
Yes,
pre-talk. Or
yes,
someone who's super busy, in which case I need to be aware of that for homework and things like that
yes,
as well.
yes,
So there's lots of value to come back from just
yes.
including that one recording. And on top of that, if they get a confirmation and there's already something in it that they're getting for free,
Yeah.
they're just going to think this is someone who's given me value upon value upon value.
Yes,
So
yes, that's correct.
so
Yeah.
learning how to be able to do that from the comfort of your own home with the equipment that you most likely already have quickly and
Mm,
easily is a real
mm,
benefit.
mm,
Not to
mm.
mention creating hypnosis audio so you can sell, hypnosis
Yes,
programs, or trainings that you
yes,
might be able to do, um, or just things that you can give away in between sessions, or a podcast, or
yes.
there's a whole range of things there. So that's what I want to talk about is about,
Yeah.
perhaps how can you utilize the technology that that I'm sitting in front of right now, a
Yes,
computer,
exactly.
to
Yeah.
be able to turn that into something that might be able to help, um, either helping more people who can't afford to pay a full session with you,
Yes,
or
yes,
to add value to the programs that you're doing, or
yes,
to create podcasts or lead magnets that will help bring clients to you.
yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about, and I'll
Yeah.
try to inject as much of my infamous humor into it, so that you're
Excellent.
not just going to be watching some guy up there poking at his computer and going, "Look at this now, look at this." We want to make sure that it's engaging in some way. I'm
Yes.
not going to get people up and dancing. I'm not one of those people,
Okay. All
um,
right. Okay.
unless they
Okay.
want to, in which case, knock
Yes.
yourself out. Um,
Yes.
but I promise anyone coming along, I will aim to make it as entertaining as possible.
No, that sounds really good to me. I feel recordings are invaluable. I had little apps on my phone and I just record on my phone. I just
Yep.
thought I can't get in my head about this.
Yeah.
And because as a doula, there's some, I was there, so So a doula is someone that supports couples through childbirth, for those that aren't aware. And then I also, as a doula, I then trained, and that was my introduction to hypnotherapy.
Mm.
So I kind of did hypnobirthing, or we used to call it hypnodoula. Um, and then I just thought, well, because people were asking for them, oh, can you record that for us so we can
Yeah.
have that at the birth? Can you record that for us so I can listen to it, to prepare myself for the birth? So I just found myself, using the app on my phone,
Mm.
and then at the time working out how to send it, and then doing that, and then later on, because I do other things other than just a hypnotherapy, I've taught meditation and other processes, and I do like giving away those recordings as a part of my
Yeah.
package,
Yeah.
and
It's a nice
people
touch.
find them to be, oh, Beck, I've listened to that, I love that. And I'm like, okay, great,
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it really does add value. And I know there was a couple of hypnotherapists I spoke to, and they're like, oh, well, no, I never give recordings because otherwise I feel like I'm devaluing, it's like they should just get the
Yeah.
hypnotherapy process and be healed in the session kind of thing.
Look, fine,
So,
they don't have to give
but
recordings. It's
but
absolutely
they don't
okay.
exactly.
No
And I
one's
was like,
forcing you
okay.
to record.
Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. But anyway, I
Yes.
don't know. Most of my clients are like, no, I want the recording,
I just have visions of someone like holding a gun to their head going, record a relaxing meditation now. Relax. Relax. Um,
Exactly.
no one's
I
forcing
don't
you to
know.
do that.
No one's
There's
forcing you to do anything,
I
but
think that,
yeah, I
there's
think
this
it's important.
tendency for people to try to think of things as being right and wrong.
I know
And,
it's a bit boring, isn't
I love being able to
it?
think in like duality terms. I can think this
Yes,
and this simultaneously at the same time.
totally.
Um,
Exactly.
you don't have to do recordings, but it doesn't mean that you necessarily need to devalue anyone who decides that that might be something to add to
Exactly.
their business plan. I like to think also in this current cost of living crisis, not everyone can necessarily afford
That's
hypnosis
true.
sessions. And I know quite a few people, including myself, that will sometimes do kind of free ones for people that we can
Yes.
recognize doing it. But I think also there's, it's perhaps nice to be able to create a series of recordings
Yes.
around particular topics that are coming up that you can either give away free
Mm.
on your site or charge a minimal fee for those
Yes.
that can't afford to see you in person. Obviously,
Yeah,
there's a
it's a
limitation
great
to what you can
extension.
do in a recording. I don't think there's
Yes.
anyone disputing that, but there's
Mm.
certainly some things that you can teach that are valuable skills. So, for instance, relaxation skills, um,
Yes.
mindfulness skills, any of
Yes.
those sorts of things. I can remember working with someone once who wanted to put together programs for people with living with dementia. And I said,
Oh,
what might
wow.
be more useful as well is to create recordings for the carers of people living with dementia,
Oh,
because being
Lawrence, that's
someone who went
amazing.
through that
I
myself, I
went
know
through
that
that
there's
too.
a range of emotions there, whether it's anger or frustration or
Yes.
fear or sadness. And so, and I also point out to them, and keep in mind, these people don't have a lot of time. So what could
Don't
be
know
beautiful
because you're
is to
so busy
create
caring.
a 5 or 10 minute recording that helps them to deal with
Yes.
that anger, 5 to 10 minutes of dealing with that
Yeah.
frustration, and
Yeah.
give that, use that. So you can be really creative with how you do this, and still
Mm,
create
mm,
something that could be meaningful and impactful to a lot of people. And I'm
mm.
hoping that's why all of us do this job, is because we want to
Totally.
help people. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's
Mm.
wonderful. Thank you, Lawrence. I've
Oh,
so
thank you.
enjoyed our conversation. I have after I've interviewed all the speakers, I kind of want to really keep the podcast element going for
You
myself.
should.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to get you back again.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to throw a plug
So,
in here. I used to do a
yes,
podcast called
please.
the Confident Hypnotherapist. If people want to check that out, I believe it's still on Spotify. I can't remember where I moved it all to, but
Okay.
I did probably close to 40 or so episodes of that, and I had
Wow. Okay.
some fantastic guests on there, the likes of Freddie Jacqueline or lovely
Mm.
Connie, who's presenting at the conference.
Yes, yes,
Justine, who's at the conference. I did
yes,
one with
that's right.
her.
Yes.
So if people want to go and check that out, it's all about when you're starting, how do you become the confident hypnotherapist?
Oh, that's wonderful. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm glad you did a plug. And also, how can people connect with you? Like at your
Generally by my
website?
website. Yeah,
Just your
website.
website? Okay, I'll
Yeah.
pop the link in, if you want, do you want to share it now? Let people
At
know.
www.releasehypnosis.com.au.
Fantastic. All
Yeah.
right. Wow. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
I've enjoyed it too.
So thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to actually meeting you
I'm
in person.
looking forward to being there. As I said, it's the first time in about 5 years that I've got up in front of a group of people and spoken, and I can't wait because I like to have fun. So I'm hoping people are coming along,
Yes,
wanting to have fun too, because you know,
exactly.
technology, it would be good if I could speak. Technology can sometimes be a rather dry topic, so the more we can have some
Yes.
fun while we discuss it and inspire, the better for all of us. So,
Yeah, no,
mm,
I totally agree. No, all perfect. Thank you so much.
my pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Heart, Mind, Body Collective podcast. If today's conversation resonated with you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us reach more hearts, minds, and bodies. Until next time, I'm Rebekah Fisher. Take care of your heart, your mind, and your body.